Kia ora, good afternoon, everybody. We will get our, our meeting underway. We have quite a few members online. Firstly, welcome to those who have made it to the council chamber today, and we have quite a few members online. I can see Mayor Baker and Mayor Caffel and Councillor Halliday and David Gordon from Kiwi Rail. Unfortunately, the screens on our front desk are not working, so I will be relying on the very able people from DEM Services to tell me if any of you are online need to speak. So if I miss you, make a noise or something. Right, I'll start with the karakia. Whakataka te hou ki te ura, whakataka te hou ki te tonga, kia makina kina ki uta, kia matara tara ki tai. E ake ana te atakura, hei tio, hei hoka, hei hahu, ti hei Māori ora. Thank you. Right, do we have any apologies, Elizabeth?
We do. We have Mayor Holborough and Councillor Pennant.
We have an apology from Mayor Holborough and Councillor Pennant. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Ponta and Mayor Mark. Not Marks, there's only one of you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against. Carried. Any conflict of interest declarations today? No. Now, public participation. Welcome, Simon. We have Simon Casey coming to talk to us about an alternative route over the Wairarapa. Do come up to the desk, Simon. It's good to see you. I don't know about you, but I had a slow trip over the hill. Absolutely. Now, you need your microphone on so everybody can hear you online. So it is the right-hand button. And yes, that's
right,
it.
We should be right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you have 5 minutes and then another 5 minutes for any of the members here to ask you questions.
Okay, and this will advance the slides, will it?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Okay, well, firstly, I want to thank you for taking time out to listen to our presentation. As you know, we've got it there that it's time for a new road over the Rimataka Hill. Although that is our sort of opening line, our objectives are specifically, we're wanting that a study is undertaken into alternate routes. And also that the government recognise that this should be on the list of roads of national significance. That would have to happen before any route is chosen or constructed or whatever. We're a group of 4. Started it with Craig Boyer, who's a Marsden District Councillor. My colleague here, Kevin Cudby, he is a engineer. And we have Jeff Copps, who's a member of the Wairarapa Water User Society and is a technical consultant. Won't go too much into more of the background of that because I've only got 5 minutes, so we'll riff into it. So look, we've got some statistics there. I'm not going to go through each one, but there are 2 key statistics that I think are really important as far as the subject is concerned. The first is that the GDP per capita in the Wairarapa is 58,000 per annum. That's 23% less than the national average of 75,000. So the Wairarapa is somewhat underperforming compared to the national average. The other is that the hill traffic count has progressively gone up from 5049 average annual daily traffic in 2003 to 7648 in 2023. That's a 52% growth. But the traffic count is now starting to decline. It's looking like around more like 7,200. Now, I've got no any tangible proof as to why or what is causing that, but I would suspect that the regular closures, especially the nighttime closures, is not helping at all. And this is now starting to cause confidence issues, I think, for business and other people in the Wairarapa. The risks are that it is an unsafe road, and I don't think you'll find too many people would disagree with that. 382 crashes between 2014 and 2023, of which 5 were fatal, 29 were serious. It is an unpleasant road unless you're a rally car driver where you relish the bridge-to-bridge time that a lot of young people have tried. For a lot of families, it's just not pleasant, and there's a lot of travel sickness. But where it really starts to hit is then it's uneconomic. Heavy trucks cause a lot of damage to the roads, but the roads cause not so much here, cause maintenance issues for the trucks as well. There's a high fuel bill, there's high maintenance costs on the road because of the constant twisting and turning. The short-term closures are reducing economic activity and do create uncertainty. Business does not like uncertainty. But one of the biggest issues, and this is what's worrying a lot of people in the Wairarapa and businesses, is the lack of resilience. There is no alternate, no realistic, viable alternative. If we were to have a closure anywhere near what happened with the Coromandel or the Manawatu Gorge, earthquake or something, there would be a devastating effect on the economy of the Wairarapa. That's a hell of a risk. It's like having a Russian roulette type situation facing us in various weather events. Oh, wrong button, is it? I'm not. Can someone advance that for me?
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Okay. I'll just go back one. We've got a lot of feedback, and we've started a website, and a number of people are now starting to register as supporters. Some of the key ones that come back where is affecting people's ability to get employees, right? One is from Robin Wilson, General Manager of Marsden Medical. The Rimataka Road is a barrier to recruitment and retention of medical staff. Anna Nielsen, Chief Executive of Destination Wairarapa, said a more reliable link is critical if we are to achieve growth in tourism. In fact, she was featured in the paper recently because there was an event, or about 4 events on in the Wairarapa. There was a crash at Kaitoki. It killed a lot of visitors to the Wairarapa who wanted to attend those events. One from Juno Olives is entrusting the economy to the current State Highway 2 beggars belief. It is tenuous at best. And that's putting it pretty well. I've been in touch with Alistair Plummer from the Rimataka Transport Group. He says we welcome and supports the initiative in promoting a new purpose-built road. And finally, we're getting support from various parties, and Kira McAnulty was very pro what we're trying to do. I support the call into the resilience of the Rimataka Road and for the designation of a road of national significance. Yeah, but there we go. So what we're looking for has to be highway standard. You cannot, no matter how much money you put at the current road, it's not going to turn it into a modern highway. It is just basically window dressing. We want 2 lanes uphill, 1 hill down, adequate stopping shoulders, maximum gradient of less than 5%, gentle sweeping curves, and 100 km/h posted speed limit. Here is the crux of it. We've looked at it and we think there are 3 routes that could possibly be used in a study. 2 are bridge-to-bridge replacement. 1 takes it up towards to Harinikau Valley. We're not favouring any particular one, but this is what we're trying to get to NZTA and say, look at these. Have you looked at these? Can you please cost them? One of them will be a tunnel, as you can see by the dotted lines. The rest would be achieved through cut-throughs, and we think that would be the better option because tunnels have issues such as hazardous goods. They need to be closed regularly for maintenance and they're expensive to construct. Business case, we've done a business case. We're asking for it to be peer reviewed, but from it we've seen improved safety, resilience. It will increase the Wairarapa GDP per capita, which is really important. Increase the productivity by a factor of 7 times compared to the cost of construction. That is huge. That is really huge. And a return of 8 billion of benefits over the next 60 years. So what are our recommendations? Essentially, we want the Regional Transport Committee to back what we're saying here, that the Rimataka Road must be included in the government's list of roads of national significance. We want NZTA to undertake a study into the viability of alternate routes, and we want this study to be incorporated into your regional transport plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Do we have questions from any of the members?
Yeah, someone.
Can I, Adrian?
Councillor Ponta first and then Mayor Baker.
So my question, I think, is on the very last thing that you raised, asking for the proposal for further study on those three options and what have you to be included in the regional land transport plan. I'm not aware of an instance where a proposal for what you're referring to as either a national highway or a regional, i.e. still a state highway, has been put forward by anybody other than NZTA. And so my question is, where is NZTA in your thinking at this stage? Because if it's going to be included into the regional land transport plan, it would ordinarily come via the New Zealand Transport Authority, not either from the community or even from a territorial authority or the regional council. I'm just not aware of that having happened before.
Okay, yeah, and it seems to be a bit of a two-way thing here because it's I've read where it needs to be on a regional land transport plan to get onto a national land transport plan.
It's a bit of a trick.
It's a little bit give and take. So I have engaged with NZTA, not all that high up, but in working with Alistair, I know that he is engaged with some senior people in NZTA. What we have been able to achieve is a meeting with Simeon Brown and spoken to him about the need for this. We had a meeting about a couple of weeks ago, and he has instructed that any studies that have gone into alternate routes in the past be looked at and compared to what we're proposing.
Sorry, so that work's underway?
I can't tell you whether it's underway. That's what he had agreed to do.
Right.
Thank you. Mayor Baker?
Oh, thank you. Mine is actually that I actually support what you're saying, and I'm surprised it's not there and wondering as mayors how we get it there, because I mean it should actually be there, and I figured we could actually be telling NZTA what to do, not the other way around, because that's how it feels. And that region is growing, and if anything happens in an earthquake for any of us, we do need an alternate route. So 100% support. Give me the email or the address to log into.
Can I say thank you very much for your support? We are working closely with the Road Transport Group, and are you a member of that group, Anita?
No.
Because
Right.
Mayor Baker is in Porirua.
Right.
But I support it as a regional mayor. So yeah.
Thank you.
I'll look it up.
So, Simon, could I ask, please, given that you need Wairarapa TA support just simply for to show that the whole Wairarapa supports you, have the mayors given an indication as to when they would put that on their agendas to get a recommendation from their councils rather than just the mayors? Because I think that is critical. It may just be process, but if you're wanting support from NZTA, they need to know that there is formal support from the TAs that are affected, and that would include Upper Hutt, I imagine, Mayor Guppy.
Can I say that we're aware that Masterton intend to do this? Feedback from Craig Bowyer. He's saying that the Masterton District Council want to engage in a public discussion regarding this. I've got support from Mayor from Ron and Ron Mark, and I assume you'll undertake to do the same with your council.
Because I honestly think that it needs to be more than just the mayors supporting. It actually needs a recommendation from your council that the whole council supports the process, or the majority, not the whole. Doesn't have to be consensus. It just has to be a recommendation from the councils. And then I guess I'm supportive of what Councillor Ponta says. We can't just bang it on the regional land transport plan. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work like that. It's a state highway. It would need to come from NZTA. And my advice from NZTA is that a road of national significance needs to come from the minister.
From the top down.
So your first step of meeting with him is a very sensible one and gets us
you've done all the right
on the
things.
road.
Yeah.
Okay. Mayor Caffel.
Yeah, again, just to reiterate really what Simon said is that Craig Bowyer is a councillor of ours. He's also chair of the Automobile Association, and he is pushing hard on this, and we as a council will be discussing it officially and taking a stand. So we're well aware of this debate.
Right, thank you, Mayor Caffel. I'd just like to confirm that projects that are on the Regional Land Transport Plan come from either the TAs or NZTA. We as a group don't have the authority to bung something else in because we think it's a good idea. So that is the process that we need to work through. Mayor Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I guess approved.
Is it working?
When it's red. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just taking your comment then that they go on to the regional transport, if they're approved by the TAs. Is that all TAs? So what's the process to get the TAs who sit at this table, who all are mandated by their councils, to get this committee to accept it? What is the process? Because it's confusing what I'm hearing today.
So the process for the Regional Land Transport Plan program, which is where we have the lists of projects which are put forward as a bid for funding. So that part of the plan, that is essentially a collation exercise. So we get projects from either TAs or NZTA or Kiwi Rail, an approved organisation, and then we prioritise them as a committee. So we get all the projects, we prioritise them against our criteria, and then that forms the bid then that goes into NZTA to be assessed at a national level for funding in the National Land Transport Plan. So that's how the projects happen. So this committee has no power to add a project. All it can do, its only power is to prioritise, or it could not include a project, but it can't add a project.
Right.
So it has to come up from the bottom, essentially. The only other thing that this committee could do is to, it can express its opinion as a committee. It can write a letter of support, or it can, write to the minister, or do any of those types of more, advocacy type things. It can obviously do that, but in terms of a project, it has no ability to add something. So it'd either have to come from a NZTA or TA. Yeah.
Whoever submits it must take financial responsibility for delivering it.
Look, just to clarify, in other words, if you want to progress to the next stage of doing a detailed business case or teasing out those three options that you've got, and you're calling it a state highway, then it has to come from NZTA, and NZTA has got to back that with money, real hard cash. If you're proposing it as a local road, then as three local authorities, you may be able to do that, but I doubt it.
No,
And that's why we're having the conversation, really.
Yeah.
And on top of that, NZTA, and Emma can correct me if I'm wrong, would not consider it unless the three councils thought it was a good idea. And because it is a road of national significance, because our local budgets wouldn't be able to pay for it, it needs to come from the minister, not from NZTA. They would be directed. Is that correct, Emma? With the roads of national significance, you're directed by the minister.
Yeah, if it's a road of national significance and included in the government policy statement, then our board is required to give effect to that. So that's the statutory framework. In terms of being added to a list of projects on the state highway network, it's unlikely to get there at the moment in terms of when we look forward at the funding and financing revenue streams versus the 10-year plan for the existing state highway network. There wouldn't be capacity to add anything further to that list. So it is required to go through a process where we would have reasonable certainty of funding.
Yeah. So look, that's waiting. Because I thought we went through a long conversation in Carterton Events Centre when we're all sitting there, and it might have been, I might need your help, Anita, that we were talking about future development strategy, and everyone recognised that kicking off a project of this size and scale, if you take Transmission Gully as an example, can take 30, 40, 50 years. We all know that. But the one thing that was agreed was that it be included in the future development strategy, that a business case, the funding be provided for a business case to be drafted up so that then the matter could be progressed on the back. Now, these good people have, off their own bat, done the work they've done. I'm just questioning if we can take stuff off of the regional transport plan, if the words were, it comes from the bottom up, those words don't match the advice, and I guess we're looking for a steer as to what the actual process step by step is to get it onto, even if it's just to get the support of the Regional Transport Committee, so that when people go and advocate, they could say that the Regional Transport Committee has passed a resolution saying it supports the proposal or supports a business plan or a business case being put together. But at the moment, you're a regional transport committee that isn't prepared to look at a state highway, which is a regional arterial route. And it doesn't. I just don't understand that.
I think we are having a chat here which is going off piste for our committee, but I do think we need to get this sorted. I don't think for a minute that we're a regional transport committee that wouldn't support it, but we need to, all we could support at the moment as a committee would be for further investigation but we can't do that. We can't do the investigation. It still requires NZTA. So all we could do is write to NZTA and say that we support, in principle, investigation of alternative routes for Wairarapa.
Yeah. Can I say that's fantastic? That's exactly what we've come for, is for support from the Regional Transport Committee. And going on from here, we want to help the councils by growing a community support base, just to prove that there is strong community support for such a project.
So I don't think we need a resolution for that, do we? Should we?
I think it would be, if you wanted to write a letter of support as a committee, I think it would be good that you just agree that as a committee,
Yes.
just as a whole, that you're all supportive of essentially the chair writing to whoever you're writing it to, the minister or the board of NZTA, saying that you support, in principle, the further investigation of the road. I think that's something you can just agree.
Wouldn't be any more than that at this stage.
It doesn't.
Well, the Wellington Regional Mayoral Forum can write to the minister in support.
Yes. Mayor Cavill, sorry.
Yeah, look, I'd be willing to move that, but also, appreciate what Anita said before. I think that, and Adrian, you were talking about that the three Wairarapa mayors need to be in behind this. I think it would be really helpful if the other mayors throughout the Wellington region were also in behind it. And I really appreciate Anita's words, because I think that this is more than just a Wairarapa project. This is actually a regional project. Thank you.
I'll put it on our agenda for January for a letter.
Thank you, Anita. Just following on from me, it is definitely a regional project, because any opening up of Wairarapa will require an incredible amount of investment in further infrastructure, and the locals can't pay for it. Mayor Guppy?
I agree. I think, I agree with the suggestion. In fact, I've written a letter of support.
Thank you.
But I just I think them writing to the mayors, to the councils, and get it across, because I just worry about groups turning up to this meeting and we at some random point grab and putting things on. It opens up, it starts a precedent that anyone fronts up here and
Precisely.
we'll just write a letter, or you know what I mean. It gets so I think that's the process. Once you get support like that, then it's a different ballgame. But I just you know I just caution the fact that we
Yes.
can turn up here and change the whole process.
Precisely. Melissa.
Thank you. Sorry, I've been having some technical difficulties to this point, which is why I've not commented earlier. Southway obviously has a keen interest in this matter. Our intention is to bring this to a future council meeting to ensure that we can show certainly a majority council support for this and to work that process forward. I can understand that perhaps it seems like circumnavigating the process to come directly to this meeting, but I think it's about ensuring that this matter, alternative routes for the Rumataka Hill, has a regional view and a regional focus, and that there's a real importance for that. But we'll certainly, from a local level, be doing all that we can to make sure that we have a firm consolidated support for this as well. So thank you, Simon, and thank you for bringing it to a regional focus.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Luke, the next step then would be...
Well, my suggestion would be that you ask the 3 Wairarapa councils and maybe Upper Hutt to indicate their support at a local level, bring that back to the Regional Transport Committee, and then the Regional Transport Committee can then follow that up with a letter of support to whoever you want to write that to, and we can draft that and get that sent out. So that would be just a short delay in terms of getting that, but I think probably the right process.
Just perhaps one amendment to that, Madam Chair. I think it's a fair point that this is a regional issue, so I don't think it has to be geospatially limited. If Kapiti, for example, wanted to support it, or Porirua, then the basis of this committee is that we all come with a regional hat on.
Yes.
And on that basis, there should be no limitation. I'd be happy for the regional council to make similar support.
So one thing that would make it easier perhaps for Simon to liaise with the mayors would be to have one letter that has all their signatures on it, rather than...
And we've done that before.
7 individual letters.
We could do that next week.
Yes. All right, as the next step. So you happy with that, Simon? I'm
very, very happy. Thank you very much. I'm absolutely blown away by what appears to be almost unanimous support. And so I think with that, I think we can send a clear message to the government that this is very much needed, and we'll do our bit now to get community support. But having the support from the councils and from the regional council is absolutely critical to get this getting any further.
Cool. All right. So that'll be the next step.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time and thank you for coming. All right. Our next item on the agenda is the confirmation of the minutes. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Mayor Guppy. Councillor Edwards, are you happy to... Doesn't matter. You don't actually have to be here for I've been told. Yes. Okay. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. And we're on to item 5, which is the annual monitoring report, and we are hearing from... Where are we? Oh, hearing from... Rose and Christopher. I should have known Rose.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm joined by my colleague Christoph Gertz, who's the team leader for the Transport Analytics Unit and one of the authors of this report. We present for information this year's annual monitoring report for the financial year 2023-2024 against the Performance Monitoring Framework in the Regional Land Transport Plan. We'll take the majority of this report as read, but just to present a few high-level takeaways. There were some short-term improvements in the year-over-year data recorded in the report, so significant improvements to the resilience of the state highway network overall, with much fewer unplanned disruptions and road closures. We note that deaths and serious injuries decreased for road users, cyclists, and pedestrians, and we would note particularly a significant decrease in cyclist DSI to the lowest levels observed in the past 20 years of crash analysis system data maintained by Waka Kotahi. Uptake of public transport continued to increase more significantly on the bus network and more significantly across modes in the off-peak and on weekend travel. Economic downturn, however, did affect the region in the past financial year, and this can be reflected in some of the indicators, such as the downturn in the amounts of rail transmitted by freight, or freight transmitted by rail. In terms of the longer-term trends, we note that these remain difficult to identify. Our 3-year rolling averages still include the disruptions experienced across the network as a result of COVID-19. In terms of our headline targets, however, we note that with this 3 years of data in the triennium, we are currently not on track to meet either the 40% increased mode share in active modes and public transport or the 35% reduction in transport-related CO2. However, if the current rate of progress is maintained, we would be on track to achieve the 40% reduction in deaths and serious injuries, which is subject to future reports under this framework. We'll take the rest of the report as read and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rose. Any questions from members? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. Is the reporting stats granular enough to ascertain either now or in the next year of reporting the difference that 30km/h speed limits around schools and suburban areas that certainly HUT has pursued, and I think other councils as well, has it actually made any difference? Is there any information we could use to bat off government changes in that area?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. That's definitely something that we're trying to do, but the numbers are really small. The numbers of deaths and serious injuries around schools. So if you have maybe a number of 2, and then next year you have 1, that's not a 50% decrease in the. You need quite a long period to monitor this over. So it's not straightforward, but it's definitely something that would be good to look into. And I mean, just from the basic physics behind it, if someone travels at 30km/h, the likeliness of a crash, of a serious crash, is dramatically reduced. We know that through lots of studies.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. No, it doesn't appear so. So that's an information paper only. Thank you very much. It shows that the quality of the paper has all the information in it that we need. Thank you. Wellington Public Transport Plan Review. Tim and Emmett, welcome aboard.
Good afternoon. Through you, Chair. Thanks for the opportunity to give an update on our regional public transport plan. The paper we presented gives you an overview of our approach and focus for the RPTP, has a reference to new NZTA guidelines, and includes some information on our focus for public consultation. So take the report as read and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Emmett. Do we have any questions? Everybody is just bursting at the seams to ask questions. Not. No, it appears not, Emmett. So you've had a big trip downstairs for Not much action.
I'll go in next door for the sandwiches.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sam, MetLink update.
Kia ora tātou. So I will take the very brief cover report as read, and I will just go through really quickly the presentation that is attached, which is provides our usual update on MetLink performance. So this just covers off bus patronage. You'll see that this year the bus patronage continues to be higher than in the previous 3 years, which is great. And the bus network is performing very well at the moment. Rail, on the other hand, still continues to be below previous years, below pre-COVID. Largely the reason for this is that travel patterns have changed post-COVID. We're seeing a lot lower patronage on the rail, particularly on Mondays and Fridays, and particularly those longer journeys. So people coming in from Kapiti or the Wairarapa, there's a real drop-off on Mondays and Fridays. That actually also has a flow-on effect to our fare revenue, because the longer journeys obviously get us more money. So we're experiencing a fare revenue shortfall as well against our budget, which is disappointing. Just on performance in general, reliability of the bus network is strong, and punctuality as well, although not quite in the green on punctuality. And I mean, we're very pleased, as I've been saying the last few meetings, on the bus cancellations that have really dropped off over the last year, and that continues to be the case, which is really pleasing. Rail, on the other hand, is really affected by largely by the state of the rail network. There are still a number of temporary speed restrictions in place, which affects both rail reliability and punctuality. But it is really pleasing that with the Wairarapa line vibration work having been completed, that TSR's come off. So I think we've got 6 to 10 minutes more timely on that line as a result of that. And we would expect post the lengthy Christmas close down of the Wairarapa line that will improve further. So we've got great hopes for next year in that regard. Just a quick update on our NLTP funding shortfall. So we're $134 million short in our significant investment program. So we have been through a significant exercise of reorganising our capital program. And we have managed to continue on with the really key projects, and we're doing initial work rather than as much as work as we expected this triennium, and some of the others. For example, the Waterloo transit-oriented development is in that category. But we have still got funding for the programs that are listed on the slide there. And just you'll see there that mentions the Regional Bus Prioritisation Program. We have just been doing a refresh of our Bus Priority Action Plan. That was a thing we put together largely related to Wellington City in about 2018, 2019. A lot of those measures around bus priority have been implemented now and will continue, and have continued through the Let's Get Wellington Moving program, and some of them are in the Golden Mile, for example. But we've just refreshed that action plan to incorporate the Hut and Porirua. We've this week, I think, received the next draft of that. So in the next 2 or 3 months, we will be, well, perhaps at the next meeting of this committee, we'll socialise that document with this committee, and we will be reaching out to Porirua and Hut City Councils in particular, just in terms of that document and what we can do together to improve bus priority, which will largely be infrastructure type improvements. LINRIM, so this is the program Lower North Island Rail Integrated Mobility. This is our purchase of new rolling stock for the Manawatu line and the Wairarapa line, and the associated depot and other some track upgrades. The program's going well in terms of the rolling stock procurement. We are expecting the bids in from the 3 tenderers before Christmas, and with a view to awarding contracts before the middle of next year.
and we're getting on quite well with the design of the depot that will be near Masterton, and QRL's doing a good job of scoping up the work that they need to do too. Just in terms of bus fleet emissions, we do an annual review of fleet emissions, and that report, if you're interested in it, is on our website. It's the key takeout from that is that the emissions continue to decline as a result of the electric fleet, as you would expect, but it's really good to have some actual data that supports that from our air monitoring stations. And it's not only the CO2, but also the harmful emissions, nitrous oxide and that kind of thing, that have declined and continue to decline. So it's really good to have that data available. Our council has adopted our strategic public transport asset control strategy. This has been a really big piece of work for us over the last year or so. And through this strategy, this is the thing that sets the foundation for us to establish bus depots and own other public transport assets, which we haven't done in the past. So the big project, the first cab off the rank, I suppose, project for this is the establishment of the bus depot that we're developing at Kauri Street near the airport. And we will look at other infrastructure as we continue down this path. We've also got in place an MOU with Ngāti Toa, and we're looking at project with them for some land in Keneperu for a bus depot as well. Our annual customer satisfaction survey results were good. We're pleased with how this continues. These results continue to be positive. They measure satisfaction of people who are actually on a public transport trip at the moment, so they don't give us insight into people who aren't using public transport, but it's really good to see that they're positive results, and in particular we're very pleased this year that the satisfaction with information has really increased, because we've had a real focus on our customer communication and using Facebook and different channels to that end. So that's really pleasing. And just a few other projects to note. I've mentioned the Wairarapa line vibration issues, which is all resolved now. Route 2, so we are planning for introduction of electric articulated vehicles on the Route 2, and we purchase those vehicles, the bus operator purchases them, so Kinetic will be purchasing those vehicles. They have about an 18-month lead time, so we're aiming to have those in operation early 2026. And just a note there about the Parapara Umu Transport Hub program project, which is joint with KCDC, which I think that area is looking really great now, and the new the transport hub where the buses go through is working really well. The bus operator is really pleased with how that's working from a customer point of view, and also from the point of view of the bus drivers. That's a real success, so that's great. I think that's the end of my presentation. I did just want to mention, just before I finish, that we have this week or last week received from NZTA some targets in relation to private share, which is sort of the fare box recovery kind of targets that were signalled in the GPS. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up about that, because the targets and the information we've received, the targets are very high, much higher than we would have expected. So across the regional sector, we are working to have a kind of consistent approach to providing feedback in respect of those targets, and there may well be media around it. So I just wanted to let you know that is a thing that we're looking at in terms of trying to work out the most sensible way forward in the face of some targets which would have some really significant impact on how we might deliver our services, or the cost of them to passengers if we were to try to achieve those targets.
Thank you, Sam. Any questions? Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, thank you. We're all interested in getting people more into active transport, swapping modes and so on. With the drop in rail patronage figures, has Metleg giving any consideration to relaxing the restrictions on bikes on trains at peak hours on the Hutt Valley line?
No, we haven't. Bikes on trains is a difficult thing because of the space constraints. And the Hutt Valley is pretty well patronised during peak times. So, yeah, we haven't, but we haven't.
So are we monitoring patronage at peak valley times to assure ourselves that there is not that capacity to allow bikes on those trains?
We certainly do monitor the patronage, yes, and the trains are pretty full, but I can take that specific question back. Yeah.
Any other questions? No. Thank you, Sam. And last but certainly not least, we have the Kiwi Rail update. Are you there, Dave? Come in, Dave.
It's showing as present.
Not there? No.
They're showing as present with his camera and mic on.
Right, okay. Well, our Kiwi Rail representative is online, but unfortunately not with us at the moment. So I think that we will just have to take Kiwi Rail's report as read. And if there are any questions, we could note them and get answers and email those answers to the questions out. So do we have any questions with regards to Kiwi Rail's report? Mayor Mark?
I'm just conscious that in the Wairarapa there's a lot of work being done on rail crossings, and I know we are getting updates. They're not doing too bad with that, but it's just whether or not this committee wants to be across, for information, how the progress is.
So more than what is listed here as work.
Because there are some issues that we are working our way through. But each council's got its own different issues, and I don't think that you're necessarily across that from here.
So
just a question if you want to be or not, really, I guess.
What would you like to do about that? Do you want to put it in an email to me and I could have it circulated, or you don't?
Well, if he could just give us a broad update across the Wairarapa, because I don't actually have, without going and talking to South Wairan, without going and asking Marston how's it going, it's just a consolidated look about rail crossings, general progress, and what work plan, particularly we're heading into Christmas.
Okay, so you'd like us to request from Dave that we get a general update on the rail crossing work throughout Wairarapa, and that be circulated to members.
That'd be great, Madam Chair.
Cool.
Thank you.
We can do that. Any other discussion or questions? No. All right. So that brings our meeting to an end, and I will close with a karakia when I find it. Anuhia, anuhia, anuhia ki te uru tapanui, ki wātia, ki māma, ki nahako, ki tinana. Te waroa I te ara takata, koe rarongo, whakaurige aka ke runga, ke tina, huie, tākie. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you to those online. I know it's a very busy time of year, so do appreciate you joining from afar, even if you couldn't be with us today.